Hey guys, this is Buddy. It's currently 3:30 in the morning on Thursday. Our Daytona 500 episode was just about ready to upload, and somehow, some way, your boy lost the video file. So, any dumbass award we give out later on in this episode is completely nullified, and it is 100% unequivocally me, Buddy Pulley, is the dumbass of the week and probably the season for this. I guess the old saying, listen or don't. Well, you have no choice but to listen this week. I apologize for that, but despite the lack of video, we do have a great episode for you. So sit back and enjoy. Thank you. Well, better late than never. The boys at Big Motor Small Blade are back from their wet and wild weekend in Daytona. We share the experience from our first Great American Race, break down the controversial finish between William Byron and Alex Bowman, and of course, Shane Van Gisbergen. All that and more next on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. After 2 days of absolute downpours, the Big Motor Small Blade podcast is recording here on Tuesday night after the Daytona 500. And if you didn't already catch my drift, this is the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. I'm Buddy Pulley.
I'm Seth Dolby.
And I'm Chase Folsom, aka Chuck.
That's right. Fruststretch.com's Chase Folsom, Big Motor Small Blade, Seth Dolby. And then
I'm the Buddy Pulley.
I'm just the Buddy Pulley. Yeah. I still say Seth Dolby on the Zoom call, but you know what? That's fine.
Exactly. It's okay.
Yeah. You guys know. I do want to give a quick shout out to all of our new subscribers we gained over the weekend. Because we put up a wonderful video edited by Seth and I guess acted out by moi.
I gave you a writing credit.
Thank you. Yes, I did. I had a minor role in the writing process of our NASCAR for Rookies video, Beginner's Guide to NASCAR. It's up over 1,000 views, and just appreciate everybody watching that and tuning in this week, hopefully.
Yep.
Cool. Other than that, let's get right into the shit. We went to the Daytona 500. We did it, boys.
As you can tell by our beautiful hats that we love.
Yeah, I missed the memo.
Yeah, Chuck missed the memo.
Yeah. But yeah, we went to the Daytona 500. It was all of our first times at the event. I think we were all pretty in awe of the experience. We'll talk about that. We're gonna go ahead and get the first few days out of the way though first. Jumping right into the duels. What did we think of the duels? Because I thought they were great. I thought they were some of the best duels I've watched in a long time.
I wholeheartedly agree. Probably the most fun I've had watching the Daytona duels. I don't know, like 10, 12 years maybe. Like it's been a long time, and not really through anybody's fault. It's just you don't want to tear anything up or whatever. And for whatever reason, they were just kind of going all out. And it was really fun to watch. Unfortunate for like Ryan Blaney to take a hit like he did, or even Byron ended up in a backup car. But yeah, no, it had a blast with that.
I thought they were both good. The finish to both was good, and both the what would you call it? Transfer battles, I guess.
Yeah.
The race to get into the 500. Both of those came down to the last corner, so that was cool to see. The only part that sucked is I think this was the first time in a while where you couldn't pick any of the four that you could say, okay, I don't care if that guy makes the 500. Like you wanted all four of them to make it, and unfortunately, only two of them could. So that part sucked. But especially the fact that BJ didn't make it, dude.
It's a good problem to have, though.
That was so sad that BJ didn't make it, because BJ McLeod, for anybody that didn't watch, had an awesome race, was running third at one point just on speed. Like he drove up to third, and then he got shuffled out. And
well, I think they're saving fuel a little bit. That's what I gathered.
Either way, BJ McLeod was running third.
Yeah.
In a Daytona duel with no sponsor on his car.
Dude,
Yeah.
he literally said, money by speed. How fast do you want to go? Here's $40 million. See what you can do, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, the transfer battles were unreal. Like, Casgarala got in over BJ. It was a last corner, last lap pass on there. Jimmie Johnson, by the skin of his teeth and by the by the silver plating on his 7 trophies, he made it into the Daytona 500. Man, he I was fully convinced Wednesday that there wasn't a car in that 44 hauler, and it almost beat Jimmie Johnson to make the Daytona 500.
Yeah, but luckily for everybody, nothing against JJ Yaley, but luckily Jimmie Johnson took that 84 higher in the standings than the 44 and made it. It was really compelling. It was getting kind of scary. It's like, oh God, what's the narrative? What's the narrative going to be if Jimmie Johnson misses the Daytona? I almost said Indy 500, Daytona 500.
It was scary. Oh
no, you're good.
It was scary for us because we were pulling for Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah.
But he wrecked at one point. And it was scarier for Jimmie. He said after the race, he's like, yeah, we're going down the backstretch, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to explain to Carvana up in the suite that we missed the Daytona 500. But it was line got stacked up there, and Yaley had to check up. Johnson held it to the floor until he saw God or a checkered flag, and yeah, he got it.
Yeah.
Sure did. But Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, they won the duels. Reddick made got a huge run on Larson and crushed Seth's dreams. And then my newfound love for Denny Hamlin was also fruitless because Christopher Bell did the exact same move on Denny in Duel 2. So we left Thursday night a little salty, but Jimmie Johnson made it, so that's cool.
Made it worthwhile.
Yeah, that's about all he did.
Yeah.
I watched Thursday from the comfort of a couch in Tampa, so I was not there Thursday. But it was fun to watch on TV. Kevin Harvick, because I got to experience Kevin being in the booth on Thursday, like you guys did not. Kevin Harvick brings a lot to the Fox booth that was missing. So I'm glad that you guys get to experience that this weekend because he's actually really good at it, and he's, in my opinion, much better than he was when he was doing Xfinity races because he's just so knowledgeable about not only the sport in general, but there's finally someone in the booth that can give you real insight about what's going on with the current cars that are on the racetrack. Because Clint never drove them. So Clint can try all he wants, but he's never driven an X-Gen car in a race. Kevin has.
I think something to be said too is Kevin also knows the drivers, and he didn't know the drivers too well in Xfinity. He hadn't raced with them, or at least a lot of them. And the fact that he knows the drivers too, and Cup is probably really helpful. I heard great things. I heard he added some direction in the booth that maybe, was lacking. So hopefully that continues. I mean, it's race 1. Well, I guess 2
2.5.
2.5. Yeah, 3. I don't know. Whatever you want to call the clash duels at 500. But yeah, it's good to see.
I'll just to finish that up. He kind of, in a way, it mellowed out Clint to where Clint actually did his job. And Mike Joy actually sounds like he cares about being there again. So when you put that together and then you add the fact that Kevin Harvick is there, I think it's going to be much better than last year. Now the production crew just has to figure something out. Yeah. But moving on.
Yeah. Damn, I had something to say and I forgot. But moving on to the truck race, Friday was a doubleheader.
Unfortunately.
Oh my God, dude. Everybody listening on this podcast right now, and if you're watching it, look me in the eyes as Seth sneezes because he's allergic to ARCA. I will never attend an ARCA race again unless there is something I need to be at the track for before it starts and after it starts, and then maybe I will be there. But if that's not the case, I swear on my grave, I will never go to an ARCA race again.
What if Shane's in another one?
I will go to that ARCA race. But
I mean, to be fair though, that's the only reason we stayed for this one.
that is the only reason, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, later.
For all of you tuning in, because this is the Shane Van Gisbergen podcast. We are we're gonna have a segment about Shane later on in the show. Starting out with the truck race. I don't know
What happened.
dude, they wrecked. Corey LaJoy was an absolute weapon. I remember that.
He tends to be.
Yeah, and
That was the theme of the weekend.
yeah, and then Raja Caruth flipped over Tanner and or Taylor Gray. I don't know which one it was, and apparently everybody had the script for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was really weird. Someone said they're about to. Someone said an hour before the race ended, someone's about to send the 17 over, and then someone also had a screenshot from NR 2003 of the 17 flipping from like 6 months ago. So I don't know. I don't know what script they had, but clearly Bubba Wallace didn't have the script because he was rather upset with Raja Caruth after that one.
Yeah, he was.
I'm gonna give some props to Bubba because like that's Raja got out of the car, super excited. He got a second place finish, great run, and he had someone right there to let him know he did something stupid. And a lot of young drivers don't have that and probably need it. But yeah,
I turned the race on. I was not there Friday night either for anybody that cares. I turned the race on thinking, oh man, I just missed the first couple laps. Nothing happened. And as I turn it on, there's just wrecked trucks in a parking lot on the back straightaway. And I was like, really? It's lap 5. What are we doing? How did I already miss half the field wrecking on lap 5?
You know what we were doing, Chuck? We were doing certified truck racing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just think I've seen it going around Twitter, or it was until the 500, because everybody had two days to talk about it. What do you do? What do you do to fix it?
not run trucks at Daytona.
Well, yes, I think that's obvious, but I think they'd be better with a more short track based schedule, but they'd still just wreck each other.
Yeah.
I think it honestly comes down to most of the truck series nowadays.
Nepo babies
Doesn't exactly deserve to be there. Like,
yeah.
When dad's just signing the checks and you don't have to fix the truck,
Exactly.
you're gonna wreck it.
You know what we need more of? And I know we spent a decade and a half trying to get rid of this problem, but we need some bushwhackers in the truck field.
Yeah.
I think
that and truck lifers.
Yeah, and a couple maybe. Well, luckily we got like Ben Rhodes staying forever. Looks like, and
Yeah.
Matt Crafton still hasn't retired.
I continue to forget Matt Crafton's in the truck field, to be completely honest.
I think honestly, Kevin Harvick brought up a good point on his podcast that that he is specifically Daytona. I think you guys kind of hit the nail on the head what they need to do everywhere else. They need trucks that are more stable. I mean, they give a little bit of credit to the truck field. Those trucks were all over the damn place. I mean, they are out of shape. And yeah, it was a mess. Nick Sanchez got his first career truck win, first career truck win. GG for him. Spire Motorsports 1-2, the new empire of NASCAR is kicking off the season strong. Yeah. And then the ARCA race, Gus Dean's a piece of shit. That's all I really got to say about that. He wrecked half the field on lap 3, including his teammates, and then totally like fucking backstabbed fucking what's it called? Double agent his teammate Jake Finch on the last restart and won the race. So
I will say this to Jake Finch though, like why would you trust him in that scenario? Like, yeah, man, we're coming up to the final restart or It was an overtime restart, wasn't it? Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
one
we're
lap.
coming in
Oh,
for
yeah.
a 1 lap restart. Like, I wouldn't have even asked. I would have been like, nah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I
Now
don't
he
know.
knows.
Yeah, I don't
He's
exactly know the
probably honestly never
context,
been in
but
that situation.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that, and then also, you're right, but Gus should have just been like, no. Like it was just a cheap shot way of taking it.
I mean,
And then
yeah,
Jake ended up getting wrecked because of it.
I don't want to make it sound like I think what Gus did was okay, but yeah, I wouldn't have trusted him to even do it.
Yeah.
Like even you see cup drivers, even like when they're doing the teammate restart, they stop once we get toward the end of the race. Like we don't, even in the top level, we don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I don't know, ARCA baby. That's it. That is
let's do that ARCA.
Except for the one driver that we're going to talk about later. That is the extent of ARCA talk on this podcast for the rest of the season.
I fell asleep at like the second caution. I woke up and I texted you guys, did they wreck him anymore? And Seth just said yes. I was like, okay.
It was 1:30 in the morning when we were walking out of the grandstand, so I just flipped off the track. I was like, I'm done with this shit. Like, I've been here entirely too long, and it's the first day. Like,
it was the second day.
Oh yeah,
I guess technically it was the third day.
Yeah, because it was.
And then we didn't go there. Well, we did go on Saturday, but we didn't do anything basically for 2 days.
No, we didn't. That was a lot of sitting and waiting. That was a lot of hurry up and wait. That was what that was.
Yeah, except Sunday. We didn't even bother hurrying with the hurry up part.
For some reason, we did 4 hours away, but
that
was a whole other thing.
Seth and I slept in on Sunday, which was very nice. Yeah. After the debacle that was ARCA.
Yeah.
It's a certified hangover from that. We'll talk about Xfinity. Obviously, it got rained out. Sunday, Daytona 500 got rained out as well. I just think I speak for everyone. I think they did a good job on calling it early. And I think it played into fans being able to come back on Monday. So that was good. Xfinity, Austin Hill wins again.
I got that right, by the way.
Do you want a cookie?
Wow.
Of course you do.
Wow. You really went out on a limb then.
For the record, I tried to get all three of us to say Austin Hill, and y'all were like, no, he's not going to win this time.
None of us said he wasn't going to win. I just didn't want to pick him.
Same. Just didn't want to pick him.
Yeah. I don't know. That was Daniel
looks
Suarez
like a thumb.
Daniel Suarez wrecked on lap 5, and that was the kind of extent of my giving a shit about the Xfinity race, until Shane. But
the darling of the Big Motor Small Blade podcast.
Yes. Anything on the Xfinity race?
Just shout out to Adam Alexander with his call at the end of the race, calling 2 different guys winning the race at the same time. For those that didn't hear it, he said, and I quote, "The Georgia native Sheldon Creed is going to get it done again. Austin Hill wins at Daytona." And I heard that half asleep on the car ride home. And I was like, wait, what? Who won the race?
It's funny. I didn't actually hear this because I was there and I didn't want to go back and rewatch it. But like, I can hear Adam Alexander saying that right now because he always says is going to get it done or get it done again. Yeah. Like he doesn't have another line.
No.
What's funny is he called 2 drivers winning the Xfinity race. I mean, hell, he should have been in the cup booth. He would have gotten it right kind of there at the end. But I'd have nothing to say about Xfinity.
What was the finish of the race? Like what?
Austin Hill won?
No, like what happened? Because I haven't actually watched it.
The whole fucking field wrecked on the backstretch.
And Sheldon Creed,
well, I'm telling you, Sheldon Creed backed out without seeing a caution light, and they just never threw the yellow. So they had 45 seconds to call Austin Hill home and still got his name wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. My only problem is the way that team treated you last year. Like, dude, it might not be the night. It shouldn't be the thing I'm advocating for, but like Sheldon to Austin Hill, yeah, he should have wrecked him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
I mean, he had him jacked up on the front stretch and let him go, which,
yeah,
maybe something comes back around for Sheldon. You have
hopefully.
to imagine at some point it will.
At some point, it has to.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a strong rivalry there in Xfinity. On to the Mac Daddy. Actually, no. Let's talk about our week. Before we get to the Catalina wine mixer. How's everybody's week, man? Chuck, you went dirt racing and all sorts of shit.
I did. It was awesome. We actually did a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to go over all that. If
you can tune into Chase and Abby on YouTube.
You can turn into
really,
Shabby's YouTube channel.
What I did this week, other than racing, you can go watch me and my girlfriend's YouTube channel.
It is. Hold on. It is absolute gold. Like it is. The editing on there is top notch. Quack fuck.
Shout out to Abby. She tries.
If you really want some cracker ass shit to watch on, I don't know if I could say that, but I just did. I think I can because I am one. I think it's my new favorite. I watched it on the way down to Daytona. That's what we did in the car. And personally, it's my new favorite YouTube channel.
I mean, as it should be. So,
but it's certainly the best vlog channel for sure.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Chuck and
all those
Abby.
other vloggers are in LA. We don't care about them. We're vlogging real shit in the real world, people.
And just peep how often they go to Starbucks or Dunkin'.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, you got a problem, bro.
Not me. It's not me.
Well, you keep getting them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because if she's gonna buy me if she's gonna buy it for me, I'm like, sure. What's this freaking flappadodaloo that you want me to drink? Whatever.
I don't know. You
like flappadodaloo.
You liked most of them, from what I remember.
Okay, because most of them are literally like ice cream with caffeine in them.
Okay. All right. So
about racing. Saturday night. Not the Saturday night that it rained in Florida. The Saturday night before that, we went to the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series at East Bay Raceway Park. Buddy, hold it, sit on it, and rotate. Dirt late models are awesome. It was actually a great. Can
I get an instruction manual for that? Oh my God!
It was actually a great race.
I'm shocked that you think that.
What? Oh, whatever. It actually was. Charlotte races do suck. I'll give Buddy that. But East Bay, it was actually really fun. The last 15 laps kind of sucked just because the top came in so bad that's all anybody could run. And it was almost a good race at the end until a lap car got in the way. And instead of lifting out of the gas, Tyler Erb just fucking KO'd him, trying to knock him out of the way, and KO'd himself. But Dalton Wilson finally won a race, so that was cool. And then Tuesday night, we went to, I won't say too much because I think there's going to be a YouTube video about this, but we went to East Bay again for the high limit, I guess, opener and last 410 race at East Bay because Monday night show rained out. So we watched both features. And as a dirt late model guy, I will say the sprint cars put on a really good show.
Wow.
All right, hang on.
I enjoyed both races.
Wait, hang on. I broke up there for a minute. What'd you say?
Sprint cars put on a good show. I enjoyed both races equally. The second feature was significantly better than the first. The first feature was top dominant, and Larson led, I think, every lap.
What's wrong with feature,
well, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just like nobody could really pass. But yeah, I guess. The second feature, the top and bottom came in like there was only 2 leaders, I think, technically, but 5 guys held the lead at some point. They just didn't lead a lap.
5 guys the chain?
No.
Oh, okay.
They quit.
What about the other chain, Seth?
We don't need to get into that.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Chuck went dirt racing.
Rico almost flipped once, and then he did flip a second time.
Yeah.
It was fun. There'll be a video about it.
Yeah. Chuck went dirt racing. He he actually got speed weeks. We only got speed like long weekend, like
Really long weekend.
Yeah. More,
We'll get speed weeks. We'll get speed weeks next year.
Yeah. What's the Cards Against Humanity card? More elephant cock than we bargained for.
What?
I don't remember that one.
That's a Cards Against
I've
Humanity
never
card.
seen that one before.
I'll show you.
Is that an
You must
expansion
have got
pack?
the special box.
I think it's the everything bagel pack.
Every box that we get is special, Chuck.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
Special.
So but before we move to Seth and I's weekend, moment of silence in honor of Chuck's first good take.
Whatever. You don't get that moment of silence.
Anyway, Seth and I, we got up there Thursday, and hung out with their boy Trevor, Discord Trevor. Hey Trevor. Fuck Joey.
Hey Trevor.
Hey Trevor.
Joey's a nutsack.
Yeah. And we went dueling. And then that's really all we did Thursday. Friday. I got my car towed. Was that Friday?
What?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, did you never hear? You didn't hear about this?
You never
Shout
told
out
me
shout out to the Target across the street from the racetrack. So, Seth and I go
the tiny Target
and purchase. No, it's a regular size Target. Seth and I go and purchase items from said Target, like Good Samaritans, and we put said items in my car, and then we walk away to go and walk around the track for a little bit, and then we were going to come back. And we may or may not have been planning on moving the car.
May or may not be true.
Yeah,
entirely.
Yeah. We were definitely going to come back. It's just whether or not we were going to move that car. And Seth and I returned about an hour or two later, and my poor Jetta's nowhere to be found. It turns out they towed it to like some fucking bumfuck damn tow yard 15 minutes away. So that was fun. Shout out to our Uber driver that took us to the
How
spot.
much did that cost?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh.
So yeah, Seth and I followed the rules and parked where we were supposed to park the next couple days. I vlogged. I don't know how good that's gonna be. I don't know how to vlog. So we'll
find out.
I'm the only vlogger here. I'm sorry.
You're the only professional vlogger here.
I don't even think that's true. Let's see, it rained. So that was fun.
Did it? I don't remember.
Yeah. I wore a suit to the duels. I'm just looking through my notes right here. That I did that. I'm a 2024 Kevin Harvick fan, so I decided to decked out with the Fox Sports hat and all, and I wore a suit to the duels. So if
Jeff
you saw
me, liked it.
Yeah. Hold on, Chuck. I don't know if you saw this. I hope you did. I think I sent it to you. We're gonna call him Captain Hook.
I did.
We're sitting there watching the duels, and Trevor and I look over at each other, and we look down at this guy, and he's got a hook for a hand. I, for one, didn't know that was like a thing in this century, right? And I'm like, what the hell? And Trevor goes, he's like, dude, you gotta get him to pop a can open for you to shotgun. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, damn, that would be funny. And I'm sitting there, I'm like contemplating it. And then he does it for his friend. And I was like, it's game time, baby. I walked down there and I very politely walked up. I said, sir, I handed him a nice cold Busch Light. And I said, sir, it would be my honor if you would pop my can for me. He goes, hell yeah. I got a video. Pops the can. And I've never gotten a standing ovation in my damn life until that night. I shotgun this. It is a scene out of The Hangover if I've ever seen one. We're in the middle of Daytona. I'm in a damn full suit, tie and all, and this dude's got a hook in, just loosen it as I poorly shotgun a beer. Yeah. Yeah. other than that, that was the highlight of my weekend. Seth, how was it?
Wet.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add of significance?
Not particularly.
Yeah,
How did your
yeah.
tent stay dry?
We had
Shout
it.
out, yeah,
Yes.
shout out to the people that we rented our camping spot from. Um, it was this nice little farm in what was it,
Ormond
Ormond
Beach.
Beach?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's only about 6 spots. We were the only ones there for race week, and they hooked us up with a spot under the barn. And
Oh
gave us
shoot!
yeah, they hooked it up with a spot under the barn. And we stayed nice and dry, and they gave us an extra night for free for having to stay another day for the race. So shout out to them. Um, and if we can get the name of the of the campground, we definitely should leave it in the description. So if
Yes.
anybody wants to rent that next Speed Weeks or later on in July, you should definitely give it a shot. Great people over there. And yeah, that's how we stay dry. Seth and I also could have stayed dry if we would have used our brains. We
We don't do that though
yeah,
usually.
we
So
don't do yeah. Our tent hooks up to the canopy, right? And that's how it like stands up. We could have just flipped it to where the like tent part was under the canopy, but Seth and I, we got one brain cell going between us, and I think it was stuck in a light.
it was struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
That was our week. It was a hell of a week. Had some of the best Taco Bell I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I was hammered, so that shit was nice.
Oh, dude, Seth and I got absolutely blasted.
Well, I loved finding out later that so we went to the Bass Pro Shops right before that or after that? Before that. And I loved finding out later that Dale Jr. went in there earlier in the day.
Like an hour before we were in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
I heard that today too.
Yeah. Like,
I would have killed to
damn it.
seen Seth hammered as hell. Well, I don't know. I was pretty far gone at that point too.
Hey Dale!
Yeah. Dale, when you gonna say "oh fuck" on the broadcast?
I'd be like,
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
I'd be like, Dale, I played you in a sketch one time. He'd be like, oh fuck.
All right. Anyway, so enough about our boring weekend. We're terrible storytellers, but the Daytona 500 finally did happen on Monday. And we had a lot of fun that day. We hung out with the at the Tweet Up with Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Bianchi. In his Pink Panther suit that I'm pretty sure came from Sheen, but Jordan won't tell us. And NASCAR Chasm was there too, wearing his Booty Barker shirt. So
was Bob. Don't leave Bob out of it.
Did I not say Bob? Bob was
didn't.
there. Yeah, Bob was there. Daytona has lights.
The sun had lights.
The sun had light. The sun came out.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah. And
I didn't think I was going to even make it to the race because it took me 5.5 hours to get there in a 3-hour drive. But
yeah,
glad I finally showed up.
That was like my first Indy 500 too. So yeah.
Terrible.
Anyway,
around 4:00 p.m., The Rock gave the command to start engines for the Daytona 500. Seth, what was those moments like for you?
the buildup was so like I've been to the Indy a lot, so the buildup for the Indy 500 is obviously its own special thing or whatever. But like, I feel like the percentage of race fans was probably higher at the Daytona 500 than the Indy 500. So I don't know. It just had an energy. The whole aura of the Daytona 500 was just present that I'd never really felt. You can't feel it watching on TV, but like the build up to the 500 at home is still like a big deal. But good God, like standing outside there, just seeing how many fucking people are out there.
On a Monday.
on a Monday.
Yeah.
And then just sitting in the grandstands, just watching all this go down. I mean, nothing particularly is going on. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can really describe it. If you haven't been, you won't know it. And then obviously, dude, the damn Thunderbirds.
We got a taste of them on Thursday. That
Yeah,
was like the first thing we did. We went to Hooters.
Yeah.
and had our damn fucking sternum shook half to death in the middle of the Hooters because the Thunderbirds flew over.
Yeah. We got to see them take off too, because they were just sitting there at the Daytona airport and like, I don't know, dude. That I obviously I love planes and shit, so all that's always cool to me. But I don't know, like I said, it just those planes at that race, just something else. Yeah. And then Dwayne the fuck Johnson bringing it home, dude. Like, I don't know, like you could tell that he had the same feeling that I did.
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is something else.
Yeah.
And brought that energy to it. I was full chubbed. I was full worked up.
Let me ask you. So compare it to the Indy 500 real quick.
It's actually very comparable to the Indy 500 because like I kind of figured it was gonna kind of not feel. I figured it'd be about a half of the Indy 500, just because the Indy 500 has so many traditions and so many things building up to it, and I genuinely blown away. Like without doing all that, it still had that feel to it.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not saying I don't want any of that for the Indy 500. That's part of what makes it the Indy 500. But yeah, it's just amazing what they were able to do with relatively less. And I mean, we didn't even get the full of it because we didn't get the pre-race concert. We didn't get whatever DJ Khaled was supposed to do, wave the green flag or whatever. So yeah, we didn't even get the full Daytona 500 experience, and it still just felt like this big deal, which it is obviously. But I don't know. I guess I'm just I was taken by it. Yeah, that's the best way I can put it.
Chuck, what about you?
So I've never been to the Indy 500 either, so I don't have that prior experience. The only other 4 races I've ever been to that have any sort of feel before them, and I'm not saying it's the same, is you have the Coke 600 and the Southern 500 that are crown jewels in their own right. They have different meanings. The championship race at Phoenix and the Bristol night race. I will say 3 of those 4 it's not even close. The Southern 500, the Coke 600, it's cool. It's special, but does not compare. Even the championship race, I think, really doesn't compare at all.
Yeah.
Bristol, the night race kind of gives you, it's a special feeling, but it's a different feeling than what Daytona gave me. The Bristol night race gives you this like, man, this is just so badass feeling. Daytona gives you this, I don't know, Seth kind of explained it way better than I ever could. It's just like this, you can't describe how special it feels to be there. Like, and I am as big of a plate race hater as you will ever meet. And I was just like, holy shit, I'm at the Daytona 500. Yeah. I hate this racetrack and this is awesome. Like, I've never been to Daytona before. And it was one of probably top 3 coolest racing experiences ever for me. There's just, and I kind of, in a way, for me, that being my first 500, I didn't mind that there wasn't a pre-race concert, just because you just got to walk out there and there was no extra noise. It was just the buzz of the crowd and the fact that there was race cars about to be going around this track in very little time.
Yeah.
And you could just feel by the energy in that massive facility, this race means something different than the rest of them do. I'm glad I got to experience it. Seth, I'll have to send you the video I got of the Thunderbirds because one came right by my head.
Oh,
so
So I've been to the Indianapolis 500. Um, I've gone on record saying I wasn't terribly impressed, but that is I think that has to do with other reasons. Indy 500 is something special. That personal reasons, we'll put it like that. Um, Indy 500 something is definitely something special. I think the only comparison I have in NASCAR to this is I've been to many Coca-Cola 600s. There is a special tradition with the military and all they do there. It is a very Charlotte specific, like this is what we do at the Coca-Cola 600. The Bristol Night Race, Seth and I had the fortune of standing on the grid for the Bristol Night Race in 2022. I remember looking at Seth and then looking around and being like, holy shit, this is the Bristol Night Race. Um, that had a feeling for sure. But the Daytona 500, TW is such a damn meme. But there's a quote where I think it was in after one of the 500. He goes, "Daytona will bring tears to your eyes." And I was sitting there, I was standing outside. We were walking around, Seth, and I looked up and saw the big old Daytona International Speedway sign out in front of the track. And I'm just looking around at all the people. The sun is shining. And I'm like, I got choked up. I was like, this is the Daytona 500. And like I said with those other ones, it is, it's not just a Daytona specific atmosphere, if that makes any sense. It feels like this is the great American race. This is this is NASCAR embodied. And yeah, it is. I'll put it like, without getting too deep in the weeds, I struggle mentally with things, and sometimes gets in the way of being able to live in the moment and being able to appreciate things as they happen. I am so happy that I was I fully was able to take in this experience because despite what we'll get to later, it was the coolest thing I've ever done. That's
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now.
So what I do want to say is, yes, the build up to the Coca-Cola 600 is is probably the second closest thing to this. Yeah, maybe the Bristol Night Race. I was definitely sensory overload being on the grid for that, so I don't hardly remember any of it.
Yeah.
But that is, I've said this for a few years now about the Southern 500 being in the playoffs. I don't like it because we don't get, like, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like, okay, the playoffs are going to start. And
Yeah.
like Darlington is definitely special enough. Like, it's not going to get this vibe, but Darlington is definitely special enough to deserve something more than the playoffs are starting. And especially when you compare it to Daytona and Charlotte, it's like, really? That's what we're doing with the third biggest race of the season?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I had, of course, I had to
But
bring,
yeah.
I had to bring something up about the Southern 500, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I just, maybe it'll be better this year since it's not a playoff race. I don't know.
Don't feel
I
bad. I made my bit about the Bristol Night Race. So
That's true.
I'm interested to see, since Seth and I know we're going, Chuck, I don't know if you're going or not, to the Brickyard 400 and see what that feels like, because that is obviously that's the other crown jewel event in NASCAR. So that it'll be interesting to compare, and just I feel lucky to have been able to go to all these races, and especially this one.
It's so funny though, because like the feeling, whether you're there for the big weekend or not for either track, the Daytona and Indy both have like just a presence
Yeah.
as facilities,
Yeah.
but they're very different presences. So like Indy to me almost feels more like a town, like the track property kind of feels like a town,
Yeah.
and Daytona kind of feels more like an arena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the vibe is just so completely different. Like it's still, they're both, it's like
they're very different vibes, but they
they're both
are,
paintings of the same thing done by two totally different people with totally different worldviews.
I think, and also they're very different, but the intimacy of the crowd
Mhm.
is very similar.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's something. It's, you know, we've never been to the 500 before. Say what you want about plate racing. I think we understand even more now. I know we've always understood how big the Daytona
Yeah.
500 is. There's a reason we worked as hard as we did to get there this year. But I think we fully understand how special it is. Um, yeah. Getting into the actual race.
Oh yeah. After all that,
Yeah,
there
after
was a
all that,
race.
they did
There
race.
was a
Yeah.
race.
It was all right. It's the elephant in the room for everybody is the fuel mileage deal. How to what uh, there's a debate whether it matters, it doesn't, and we're 2 by 2, and people call it boring, and some people say it's manufactured. What are we? What's the vibe? What are we?
Okay. Um, I'll go and start on the positive. I had a grand time watching AJ Allmendinger catch the pack by himself.
Say that.
That
That
was
was insane.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's explain that.
yes.
So they're saving fuel. It was said they were like 3 to 4 seconds off of what they could be running in the pack. So the pack is going. AJ is half a lap behind. We were watching AJ Allmendinger cross the start finish line, and every time the pack on the back stretch is just a little bit further and a little bit further and a
I
little
was
bit
timing
further.
it.
Yeah, like it was quite wild to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was that. I think ultimately you're gonna have fuel saving in the early to mid portion of the race anyway. And here's the thing, like Denny said, this sucks. I want to go race. What are you going to accomplish on lap 50
Yeah,
from racing? Like, cause and I understand people want to see people, them go crazy for a while, but every time we run hard early in the Daytona 500, we take out about a third of the field, and then we line up on the top or the bottom or wherever,
yep,
and we ride around.
yeah,
That's what we do.
yeah,
Like, cause in order to finish first, you must first finish.
yeah.
So the goal of everybody should be get your track position on the pit lane, if at all possible, and then save your stuff. Cause like there's no benefit to wrecking your car on lap 75. There's
I th-
zero benefit.
I think here's the thing. They're not racing hard per se, but there's an agenda.
Yeah.
And when there wasn't not when before this the next gen came into play and the cars had extra drag on them that they didn't have before, and this fuel mileage thing um came kind of to the top of the priority list for these guys. There didn't seem like an agenda during the for opening and middle portions of the race. It all seemed like a mad dash, and we got to the end, and there'd be 15 cars left, and it would be what it was. This at least feels more like a, a legit race, if that makes any sense. Because
Yeah.
from lap one, you have an agenda: save fuel and have the shortest pit stop, get out ahead of the other guys, and repeat. And it is a constant. And with the track position and how hard it is to get, It is a constant battle to be at the front because it ultimately is going to what you do on pit stop number 1 could, if you play your cards right, pay dividends and get you in the position you need to be in the final segment to win the Daytona 500. And I'm sorry, I can deal with a lull in the middle of the race with them saving fuel, knowing that there's stakes. There are stakes here that if these guys if some guys don't save enough fuel, it could be the difference in Hendrick going from, running 15th in the pack and coming out first, or, Penske ended up in the middle of the pack because they were leading the pack. So I understand why people might not like it and why it may not be compelling, but I don't know, dude. I don't, I don't have a problem with it personally. Like it doesn't, I don't know. Chuck, what do you think?
I think everybody that's complaining about it forgets what caused them to save so hard in the first stage. They wrecked on lap 5. Like, what do you get from racing hard in the first 2 stages of the Daytona 500? You're in a pack.
Yeah.
When the stage caution comes out, you're going to be lined right back up the way you were before. And not to mention, it's not like you're driving away from anybody to go put them a lap down and change the race that way because you're pack racing.
Yeah.
So what difference does it make if you ride in 1 line, 2 lines, or 3 at a certain intensity for the first 2 stages of the race?
Yeah.
And I personally, I enjoy when the pit stops, especially being there. It was actually really fun to watch when pit stops would come up and be like, okay, the Fords are going to pit here, but the Fords split up, and then watching them all try and come off. Because I was right at the exit. Well, I wasn't right at the exit of pit road. You guys were. But I was right where they merged onto the track. I was sitting at the very end of we were actually the very last section down towards turn 1. So I got to see them all come up on the track and have to merge together and try. The guys in the front literally drag the brakes all the way through 1 and 2, waiting on the guys behind them to catch up. That was honestly entertaining. And I get that might not be as entertaining on TV, but what that leads to is what we got in the 3rd stage, which was 3 wide racing for most of the 3rd stage. And the entire 3rd stage was really entertaining. And if you wreck 2/3 of the field in the first 130 laps of the race, you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
And we've seen this before, like every year before the last 2. So I don't know why everybody's complaining.
Dude, honestly, I think the last 3 Daytona 500s, the run to the checkered has been way more compelling and more exciting than it has been in previous years, other than maybe 2020. But that was a lot to do with the package, and God knows they wrecked the entire field that race. But
that race is scarred.
But the last 3, I mean, I remember in 22 it being a mad dash to the end. Last year it was that. This year was that much better. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'd much rather have the entire field there at the end of the race to battle it out for the 500 than, half the field getting, demolished just for nothing to do. So, yeah.
Just real quick, especially about Denny. Like, I just can't fathom what a guy like Denny thinks he's going to get from racing in the first 70 laps of the race, because you can only get so far forward. This isn't like Charlotte where you can drive out to a 15-second lead and lap half the field. Like, you can only get to the front of the pack. That's as far as the train goes.
Yeah.
So there's literally no point in it, but I'll be done.
Unless you're AJ Allmendinger.
Well, yeah, unless you're AJ Allmendinger, then you're real speed. I was literally timing it because the guy behind me was like, oh, he's going to get lapped. And then I started noticing, I was like, wait, he's catching them. He was catching them by like 2 to 3 seconds a lap.
Wow.
Anyway, hang on real quick.
Yeah.
If we really did want to get rid of this.
That was exactly where I was going.
Okay. Great timing. So if we really did want to get rid of this, I already heard Buddy's take on this. I'm really curious what Chuck's going to think, even though I think he's probably going to agree with me. We don't need stage cautions.
No.
at any track, but specifically at super speedways. The pack, it's called a pack race. They're already packed together. We don't need to re-rack them and go again.
Yeah.
And also, well, don't hit my mic. It would. What was I trying to say? I don't know. It's really dumb. I had like a whole point there, but like it's just like it's
It would change the
semantics for the
field
sake
thing.
of it. Like it's just dumb.
Yeah. I could deal without the sage cautions as well. I think I think that would also make it more compelling. I know some people might not like it, but I think the pack would get spread out a little bit more and there would be more strategy and it would just anything that would raise the stakes of the center portion of the race and which is, you know, kind of funny to say because that's what the whole point of what the stages were. But if you take away the cautions with it, still award points, but there's going to be a strategy to it. I think we need to shorten the stages too. I think they need to be less than a fuel window. Like, I think if you are going to throw stage cautions, that's how you fix your riding around and just waiting thing because okay, I can make it all the way to the end of the stage, go pit, fill up with fuel, re-rack them, go again. I think those two things would do wonders. And it would help the argument of the other side, and I don't think it really hurt what we liked about a race.
I don't have much to say. You're right. We don't need stage cautions. We don't really need stage cautions anywhere. And the only style of racing that we have that say you could make an argument that stage cautions are a good thing is on the short tracks. And that's just because there's so many laps that
Yeah.
it kind of breaks it up in a good way where everywhere else we could do without them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So once we did get through the first two stages, it ended up being fewest cautions in a Daytona 500 since 2004. We only had the one caution for incident until basically 9 to go.
Yeah, 9 to go.
Yeah. And then all hell broke loose. The big one, I've come to terms. It was just a racing deal.
Yeah, everyone on the planet, including people in this podcast, felt like there needed to be someone at fault when they first watched it, at least. And I don't really get it. Like, you got to push at the end of a Daytona race, and you got to try and side draft. So it's just Daytona racing. Like, wasn't anything more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Chuck.
Sorry. Wreck at the end. Forehead was texting me.
Oh boy.
Oh shit. Please. I hope to God she listens to that.
Oh, I hope to God she doesn't.
I'm gonna clip it and send it to her.
Please don't. Yeah, I mean, it is ironic that if there was blame to place, it'd be the two guys that finished 1 and 2 because whether they did something stupid that caused it or it was a racing incident, it's always the guys that start the wreck that make it through the wreck. But at the end of the day, the whole wreck kind of was just like a combination of things because that run
typically how wrecks work.
Yeah, it's usually how that works. But Bowman's push to Byron doesn't cause a wreck if Brad doesn't make a move and Ross doesn't block the shit out of him and Brad has to check up. And that's not Ross's fault for blocking either. It's 9 to go in the Daytona 500. Of course he's blocking.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like one racing deal led to another racing deal and it led to a parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how some of those guys made it through. Like, I think I saw Cindric, Chase, and Larson. There's no like reasonable way they should have been able to make it through that wreck, and they all somehow did. Basically,
I mean, Larson did get damage for what it's worth, but
well, he did say that like it drove fine, so clearly it wasn't that bad. And Chase, if you look at Chase's on board, he's like literally in the wreck and just somehow comes away in like fifth.
Dude, you want to talk about not knowing how they didn't get in the wreck? Ross Chastain.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad.
Yeah.
If Brad didn't just graze his back bumper, he came as close as you can to it. Ross is real lucky he was able to live to fight another restart, because that was
cool.
about as close. That was as close as you could get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it's just what it comes down to. Push comes to shove, and you start you see this happen every late race. I do want to say before that, Kyle Busch was leading the Daytona 500. Whatever happened to him? A wheel came. What tire went down?
Loose wheel. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And he comes back around, nurses it back under caution. And for all the people out there who say this package sucks and you can't pass, Kyle Busch went from dead last back up to like the lead within, I'd say, 8 laps.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, so like I'm over the narrative if you can't pass with this package, because we saw several guys do that, and this package in particular at Daytona works really well. You can run 3 wide, 3 lines can form, 3 wide can work. I mean, we saw 3x3x3 in there. We saw Seth. I grabbed the hell out of Seth because Daniel Suarez took the lead, and Seth's like, dude, it's 15 to go. I was like, I don't care. Daniel Suarez is leading the fucking Daytona 500. And no matter when it is, it's fucking cool. But yeah, that was in the middle of the 3x3 run they had there, and it was so compelling to watch. Like it was every bit as exciting and nerve-wracking as a Daytona 500 can get.
Yep.
But yeah. Now to this restart. It was 4 to go. They restarted.
Yeah.
And they ran around there, and Ross Chastain, I mean, bless his heart. He's every move that was made on that last lap was the move to win the Daytona 500. I can't even place blame on anybody in this one, because
I can.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, who then?
The wreck at the start finish line?
Yeah.
The same guy that caused the wreck coming to the line at Talladega in the fall. Corey fucking LaJoie trying to win the race from 7th. Again, if you go back and watch it, he's below the yellow line trying to pass Austin Cindric. Why? I don't know, because Austin Cindric was on the bottom of the racetrack.
Austin Cindric was not on the bottom of the racetrack.
No.
He was enough on the bottom of the racetrack.
He
wasn't
not
for a car.
Dude, he left the lane for Corey, and if I'm Corey, he didn't leave a full lane, but he left enough of the lane where if Corey got his nose in there, he could muscle him up off the bottom, and he might have been for 7th, but it would have been the lead of the bottom line. So I felt the same way. I was like, here goes Corey LaJoie doing some head ass move, because he did it all week, really. But I kind of don't blame him. It did set up the wreck. Him muscling Cindric off the bottom did send Cindric into Chastain, as Chastain was also crossing the path of Austin Cindric. But
I think if that doesn't happen, Ross would have made it. Honestly, it would have been close.
It would have been close.
He wouldn't have made it without hitting him, but he would have made it.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have wrecked.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just like the last wreck. It was one racing incident leading into another racing incident that caused an accident.
And
it wasn't like, anyway, it wasn't bad.
Ross really made the right decision, because we talked about this. If he had elected not to do what he did and run into the back of Byron, he's getting wrecked either way, because Bowman was pushing him. And if he runs into the back of Byron, who's going significantly slower, that accordion effect is going to turn him into the outside wall. So he made the business decision of, well, I'm going to wreck either way. I might as well go for the gap that's there rather than the guy that's leading rear bumper.
Yeah.
So you definitely can't fault him for that.
Yeah, and he had to. Here's the thing about the move with Chastain is it may seem erratic, but it had to be, or else William Byron's going to block that move.
Yeah.
Like, and he's going to get wrecked, but he's still. I mean, it heard the teardown talking about this on the way home. Seth and I, they were joking because they kept saying it's just one of them racing deals, and it's maybe not good, for podcasting
Yeah.
to say that, but like it is what it is. At the end of the day, everybody making a move on that last lap, I can't fault any of them. They were making a move to win the Daytona 500. Like Byron, if Byron blocks Chastain and gets pile drove, it wouldn't be a smart move, but I mean, what would you do? um, and I mean, Chastain's move, it was as Ross Chastain of a move as it could have ever been. Big time Ross Chastain, man. Like he was going for it.
But it was
Um,
finally a big time Ross Chastain move that made sense.
yeah,
You could back it up as this was not a bad move. It just didn't work.
yeah,
And not the first, but it's there haven't been that many of them. So to finally see him, I mean, the past couple times he's done this, it's been solid.
yeah,
So it's good to see that that was the thing is everyone was like with the whole Justin Marks talking him down or whatever in May last season. I'm like, look, they threw away like 5 wins. This is exactly what needed to happen. He needed to kind of chill out, still be Ross Chastain, but be calculated about it.
yeah,
And that's what this was. And yeah, just unfortunately, like barely didn't work.
yeah.
And for the Daytona 500, you'll take that every day.
And dude, not only Ross, everybody was racing so hard those last 40 laps of that race. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a lane around the top and a lane around the the second the
Yeah.
1.5 to second lane off the top. I mean, they were giving them no damn room. And again, it played into what we were feeling at the beginning of the race. You felt like you could watch the cars on track and realize like how hard they were driving because it's the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We'll say about Ross. Did you guys hear what he said about like the move afterwards? I don't remember who he was talking to, but
He said,
number one,
yeah, no, I'll let you tell him. Yeah.
obviously, I think we've all seen. He said, "Well, like I don't regret it. I can go to sleep tonight knowing I went for the Daytona 500." But after that, he was like, "See, I used to make that move and wreck with 15 to go. I've got it down to the last laps, and I just need to get one more lap."
Well, I thought it was funny that he took blame for the wreck, and he talks to Cindric afterwards, and Cindric's like, "No, I got shoved by Corey LaJoy," and Ross leans over to Bob, and he goes, "Hey, Bob, whatever I just said, that's no."
Yeah, I felt that too.
Ross is like, "I didn't know that." Um, so that wreck sent Ross Chastain and Austin Cindric careening through the infield grass and set up the Twitter controversy of all Twitter controversies for the next 40 minutes. William Byron was ahead when the caution came out. Um,
Definitively.
definitively, but we didn't know that until way after the fact. Too long after the fact. Seth and I in the grandstands wholeheartedly believed Alex Bowman won this race. And I think we shared the sentiment of just about everybody in NASCAR at that moment.
Yeah.
I'll put it like this before I get into anything else. Grab my notes here. um, I don't know. I I don't have any problem with when they threw the caution. I don't have any problem with them throwing the caution to begin with. Um, my main problem is how long it took them to show us the moment of caution. And that I think that needs to be fixed. That it's unacceptable. It's just plain unacceptable.
Yeah. At the track for at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
More than that.
The only thing we had was they would freeze frame it at the start finish line.
Yeah.
And that was really starting to piss me off because I'm like, are they trying to say that they made the call based off the start finish line? Like
some Dale Jr. Kyle Busch Atlanta shit from
yeah, exactly.
16.
Like, ooh, yeah, that was really frustrating because I literally, as it happened, these two, the one in the 2 car spin out, and I am looking for a caution light.
Yeah.
And it happened so fast. But when I watched it, it looked to me like the 48 was out in front. So for them to go back and tell me, oh, no, yeah, this is what we've got. I'm just sitting up there in the grandstands like, are you trying to gaslight me here? Like, that's what it felt like. It felt like they were like, yeah, William Byron won this race. And then, they changed what an inch is basically and tried to tell me that's what it's always been. And yeah, obviously the picture's definitive. There's no doubt. But yeah, like I there's no reason it should have taken that long.
It would have saved William Byron from getting some obscenities yelled at him because I definitely was not having it. I was pretty heated. I threw about everything I had at William Byron at the end of that race. I was none too pleased. I, like you, had seen limited to no replays on the big screen at the track, was scrolling through Twitter, and all I saw was Alex Bowman's in car that clearly showed that he was in front. And I was heated. I was fully convinced that they rigged it for Byron because he was in the Netflix series. So I really would have appreciated that photo maybe about 20, 30 minutes earlier. Would it saved my voice a little bit?
What really made me think that was the case is like the first thing I see was, I think David Land saying he just got Paul Tracy'd.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's what it seemed like.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, did we really, like, we had this really great and entertaining and captivating race, and we're going to end it like this. This is going to be really frustrating. Like, again, same as you, I don't have any issue with actually throwing the caution. I don't have any issue that we don't need to make some new rule where if you only get like 100 yards past the start finish line on the white flag lap, we need to do an overtime restart. In fact, we never need to do overtime restarts ever in any race. I'm sorry. It's awful. It's not called the Daytona 512.5. It's called the Daytona 500. See, 500. It doesn't need to go any more than that. And if the caution comes out on the last lap, it's not all of a sudden the 497.5 either. So y'all need to get over yourselves.
Last time I checked, caution laps count.
They do count. Believe it or not, they do count. I mean, look, is it disappointing to have the race end 2.5 miles early? Yeah, it's a little disappointing, but it is what it is. Like, we don't need to change something else. We've already done enough to question the integrity of our beloved NASCAR Cup Series. We don't need to do anything else. Okay.
Chuck, go ahead. You look like you're about to fall asleep.
It's been a long day for Chuck.
It's been a really long day. I was just annoyed because I hate going, especially as much travel as I did for that.
It's all about Chuck, guys.
And not seeing, shut up, and not seeing the final lap of the race run. And I don't think they need to run overtimes or I don't know. There is a part of me that thinks there is a way that they could fix that scenario without affecting the integrity of the end of the race.
I have an idea.
I think I have an idea too, but I don't know. I was just bummed out because I was like, man, the last 30 laps of that race were so awesome. I've never been to Daytona before. So I was like, this last lap's about to be nuts. Like, that's what the buildup is for, is
Yeah.
the last lap. Like, you get your phone out, you're like, all right, I'm gonna record this. This is the last lap. And then it's over before it started.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that sucks. And I had personal reasons for it, not for me, but Abby picked a new driver, and it happened to be big time Ross Chastain.
All right,
So,
so if you're playing the big motor small blade drinking game, you have to take a shot because Chuck mentioned Abby.
Yeah.
no, you don't. So I was personally bummed out for her, but shut up, y'all suck. I don't know, buddy. What's your idea? I want to hear your idea. Before
So
I throw
they had it, but they did it backwards when they had the overtime line.
okay, we're
My
thinking the
idea,
same thing.
well, my idea was always,
Buddy, did you turn your microphone around?
I probably did. All right, tell me when I'm good.
You're good.
Okay, thank you. Want everybody to hear this. I understand why we can't. We got to deploy safety crews and yada yada yada. But my idea was always paint a line on the racetrack, and if the leaders get past that line on the white flag lap, you let them race. But that's not going to happen.
And we wouldn't have gotten there anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't know what the middle part you deem, if you deem that another overtime, or if you deem that just a unfortunate way to end a race. I don't know. I don't want them to do it. I'm rather just end of the yellow, as crazy as that sounds. But because I feel like it would just create more controversy than it's worth. But yeah, that's always been my idea.
I guess the only thing I thought differently, and this probably isn't a good idea in terms of safety, but you take that line that you just talked about and you paint it on the back straightaway. And if the wreck happened, if the caution comes out before you get to that line, you race to that line. If you get past that line, you race to the start finish line. Just for the last.
Yeah.
It still brings up the question of it all depends on, is there anyone coming up behind the wreck who can get involved still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem.
unfortunately, in this scenario, that was the case since the wreck initiated from the very front. So
yeah. And
Yeah.
let's be clear, for anyone that may not have heard, the reason they work so quick to throw the caution, Austin Cindric spun through the grass and started to come back up onto the racetrack through the tribal, which if he would have gotten hit would have been a horrendous hit. So it was 100% the right call.
Go back and look at the Ryan Preece and Kyle Larson wreck from
Oh my
Talladega.
God. Yeah.
That thing broke the welds in the roll cage. That was not good.
Yeah. So to get, I guess, personal with it, this was heartbreaking. This was absolutely heartbreaking. I think we all know my feelings about William Byron. I think we all know my feelings about William Byron versus Alex Bowman. And to watch that happen, and to have to live for about 45 seconds with the belief that maybe, just maybe, Alex Bowman won the Daytona 500. It sucked that much more when we got the call. It doesn't matter what the call was. It doesn't matter if he got robbed. It doesn't matter if the caution comes out. Whatever happens, it's still it's a driver I'm teetering with picking as my favorite driver, and to watch the Daytona 500 get that close, and Makes you want to. It makes you hate the sport sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. I am glad that it did come out that Byron, they did give me a definitive answer because I was about to be dumb covering the sport if they would have done that shit.
Yeah.
if we wouldn't have gotten any definitive proof that Byron won, you wouldn't have seen me on the show this week. I would have been done. Like, I'm sorry. I wouldn't have been able to handle that. So yeah. It's sucks.
Yep.
Want that Daytona 500 again. Nothing sweeter. There's nothing sweeter, man. Anything else?
No.
All right.
No.
Cool. Now to our favorite portion of the show.
Yes.
What do we call this? The rundown from down under?
Oh,
I think. Yeah, I think that's what you called it.
The what will be a weekly Shane Van Gisbergen report, because he is in fact the darling of the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. He's contributed probably the most subscribers and most views to this channel. So why not milk that for all it's worth? We saw Shane Van Gisbergen run 2 races this week. He made us endure a fucking ARCA race.
Well, he didn't, to be fair. NASCAR made us endure an ARCA race on behalf of Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah. Well, they decided he wrecks on lap 3, taken out by Gustine. And then they decide to fix the car. And so Seth and I could not bring ourselves to leaving.
So we suffered through an entire ARCA race.
Yes. But we cheered
we cheered for Shane.
We cheered for Shane every time he went by. Every
all 30,
time he
all
went
30
by.
laps down, he was.
Damn right.
Straight, dude.
Every time he gained a spot because another car was out of the race, we jumped up and screamed.
Happened like 3 times.
It did. It did.
Awesome.
It was fun time.
And the 7 people there with you are probably thinking, "What the hell is wrong with these guys?"
No. There's a guy sitting in front of us who literally got up and left.
This is true.
Dude, Shane came out of the garage and we lost it. Like, we lost it. The dude sitting in front of us is like, "What the fuck are y'all doing?" Yeah.
Now I am gonna say this though. All the hoobala or hubaloo or whatever that you put us through about how dumb it was for Shane to have to run the ARCA race.
I still think it's stupid.
That he failed to qualify for.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. That was a long time ago. I'm sorry.
It was, but yes, Shane did indeed fail to qualify. Wasn't really his fault, I guess.
Dude, I tell you what, every time I have a take on this podcast, I shit on Joey Logano for the first 2 weeks of the show this year, and some bitch goes and wins the Daytona 500 pole. I roasted Tyler Reddick last week, and he wins a duel. I bitched and moaned up and down the block about how I thought it was so stupid that Shane Van Gisbergen had to run this fucking ARCA race. And the motherfucker can't even make the damn show. Not to mention I crapped on William Byron and he won the Daytona 500. But
you're batting a flat 0.
Maybe you should stop talking.
Still think
anything that sounds mean, I wouldn't say it for at least a little bit. Let's just see what happens the other way when you stop saying things like this.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say about Shane in the ARCA race. I mean, he kind of just rode around there.
Yeah, there's literally nothing else he could do.
Yeah.
Well, he did make a mark in the grass, which was nice.
Yes, he did.
Shane did that.
Shane was there. Yeah. We did the old Bob Pockers meme where he point. Yeah, to the Xfinity race. That was quite a bit more eventful for the Giz.
Yeah, Gizzy had a good one on that one.
Gizzy had a good one.
Gizzy had, yeah. Let's see. He gets involved in one of the wrecks early. Gets a little bit damage to his car. Still plenty fast. And then completely misjudges and just sends Jeb Burton through the infield grass, and
And then
then
then slams on brakes I don't know what happened at it seemed like he slowed down too much for the caution. I don't really know.
yeah,
And got pile drove by Shage Karam, so that was interesting.
yeah, but then makes one of the most amazing saves I've ever seen in my life.
It was very good.
I looked over at you, and I go, and there goes Shane. And then he saved it. Yeah. There's no doubt in the man's car control. That's for damn sure.
None
No.
whatsoever.
Yeah. But all in all, he came home 12th.
I call this a success.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, he survived. He got in several incidents, and he still came home with the top 15 finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to him. He's he hopefully learned something because he's going to be doing it again next week.
Oh God, yeah. I keep forgetting we're doing this crap again next week.
Chuck, are you muted?
Yeah, I think you are. Well, we don't know it. We lost Chuck.
Well, you lost Chuck.
I guess his mic died.
Is it really? Is it that much of a loss though?
Yeah, it's Chuck. There you go. Unplug it, plug it back in, see what it does.
Yeah, the old tech support special.
Yeah. This is kind of what pre-show is. If
This
y'all
is
are
exactly
curious.
what pre-show is.
This thing working?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Oh my gosh!
I got two of them.
What have you have to say about Shane Van Gisbergen?
Sorry, I started to say it. I didn't realize you guys couldn't hear me.
Did it run out of battery or something?
I guess it died. They come in a set of two.
Ah.
What do you think that man was thinking? Or he came over last year and ran 2 road courses, well, street course and Indy. And he's like, okay, this is fun. I'm gonna come do it full time. And he gets in the ARCA race and he sees these dumb fucks wreck on lap 4. And he gets pile drove into that. And he's like, what in the world? Does an interview, doesn't realize they're gonna fix the car. They fix the car, he goes back out, whatever. He qualifies 5th for the Xfinity race, and this was his first legit NASCAR experience.
That's true.
Is flying around Daytona at 200 miles an hour. He gets in 2 wrecks, gets dumped on the front straightaway after he dumped a guy. He's probably thinking, holy shit, and I got to do this next week? Is this all we do here? Obviously he knows it's not, but it's damn, man, what did I get myself into?
Dude, it's I mean, obviously it's like starting a new job, but it's like you were CEO of a company and then you leave the company and you get there and you're like the bus boy and some kid throws up on your table. That's the only comparison I think of for him. You went from the highest of highs, 3-time Supercars champion, won 70 plus races, to now you're running a fucking ARCA race at Daytona with all these Nepo babies wrecking the hell out of each other on lap 3, and you're running around 26 laps down, just yeah.
You know what the comparison I make it to? Obviously, don't do this if you're in college. This is illegal, but frats do hazing to where you have to go through the hazing process to get into a frat. It's really illegal, but places still do it. And they torture the shit out of you before you can get into a frat.
That's exactly what happened.
That's literally what this is. Oh yeah, you want to run the Xfinity series full time? Well, first you're going to run this ARCA race, and then you're going to run Daytona and Atlanta, and then we'll let you stay around. But first you got to go through hell.
Well,
that's what Shane did.
Steve Phelps came up to Shane after the race to congratulate him and say, welcome or whatever. If I was Shane, I would have been like, dude, what the fuck was that?
We have to do this again next week.
I think Shane put it, he was like, yeah, we did a lot of yo-yoing. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's the Shane Van Gisbergen report. We bought a shit ton of Shane Van Gisbergen merchandise this weekend,
and we don't have any of it with us right now.
No, we don't. That's a slight over. Yeah, dude, we bought. Well, I mean, we don't have it in arm's reach. We bought some Biggie Bag shirts. Seth bought a flag. a whole
did.
flag that he's gonna hang from the backdrop of his frame there, so we can continue to milk this.
I did buy a
look into
Shane
that one.
koozie because Shane is cool. So I
Good
did
man,
that.
good man. All right,
I bought a hat, which I'll probably wear next week.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
stay tuned for the Shane Van Gisbergen hat reveal on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. I'm sorry, on the Shane Van Gisbergen podcast,
Presented
hosted
by
by
Big
Big Motor Small Blade.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys are new to NASCAR, we just uploaded a video called NASCAR for Rookies, a beginner's guide to NASCAR. So be sure to check that out.
Real quick about that. So we did if you seriously started watching NASCAR and watched that as a guide, restarts, we do double file restarts.
For the one
And-
guy who commented this.
Yes, we did get a comment. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Hopefully you're listening. Thank you for watching first. Anyway, so restarts. We line up double file, and we have this orange box in the middle of the track that you're not allowed to hit, or you go to the back, but you have to choose your lane before that box. And you pick outside or inside, and that's how we set our lineup. That's how a restart goes.
Yeah.
Now you know.
And lap down cars go to the back.
Yep.
If you are a lap down when the caution comes out and the leaders pit and you do not, you obviously end up in front of the leaders and you get waved around to the back of the field and get your lap back. Under each caution, so long as the car one lap down, so long as the first car one lap down is not involved in the caution, they also get what's called a free pass or a lucky dog, as some people refer to, and they get to get back on the lead lap, or at least one of their laps back.
If
That's
you
how
commit
restarts
a penalty,
work.
if you commit a penalty in the pit lane under caution, you get sent behind all those cars. They call it tail end of the longest line. That's kind of a colloquial term, but that's what we do.
That's that damn word I couldn't pronounce.
That's one of them words. See, when I
What?
gave buddy, oh my God, you
See,
too.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck.
Can we get some smart people on this show at any
Chuck's
point?
a fucking journalist. He doesn't even know what fucking colonial fucking word you just said.
God. Colloquially, Chuck.
No,
See?
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
dude, nah,
No,
hell
there's
no.
no way. There's
Nah.
no way.
No. Hey, anybody down in New Zealand, let me know if y'all got the word colloquially down there.
I cannot do, and I don't have a New Zealand accent.
What?
Dude, yeah, something about, I don't know, something about
Koala-weed.
cheeseburger.
Shout
Anyway.
out SVP. Todd Bodine did in fact call him Shane Van Gisberger on national television. So there's
Hell
that.
yeah.
There's that.
I mean, we did have Shane Van Cheeseburgers this weekend. Or
Yeah, we did.
What did we call them?
I don't remember what we called them, but they were the pretzel bun baconators from Wendy's.
Yeah, so we've dubbed the pretzel bun baconators as Shane Van Gisbergers.
Yes,
that's what we called them.
Yes,
so
it's correct.
So if I accidentally at some point say Shane Van Gisberger when talking about NASCAR and V8 supercar driver Shane Van Gisbergen, it was an accident based off of this other pun we've made, not because I'm an idiot, even though I am.
Yes.
But I'm just prefacing.
Some people on here?
Can we get some? I've never heard the word contiguous. I've never heard that before.
I've heard the word. I just didn't know what it.
So yeah, no, hang on. If you
did watch, we're not. Yeah, no.
If you watch the rookies video, it says written by, and then my name, and then also Buddy's. This is what I meant. Is Buddy couldn't pronounce some words.
I couldn't pronounce some words, so I had to re-up. I had to redo some of the lines.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, it's his. Never mind. Yeah, this is argument for another day.
I'd never even heard that word before until he said it. So
yeah, I hadn't either.
What word, Chuck?
Koala weed.
All right. So anyway, let's colloquially get to the picks. I don't know.
That was pretty close.
Really? Oh shit.
I mean, that's not what that word means, but you said it almost right. So
okay, cool. So I picked Kyle Busch, Seth picked Brad Keselowski, Chuck picked Chuck Briscoe.
You called me a madman.
Yeah, I did call you a madman, and somehow, some way, Chuck Chuck squeezed it out. He beat me by 2 spots there with a Chase Briscoe top 10. Who would have thunking? So
Chase
picks
Folsom did.
picks for Atlanta.
Corey LaJoy.
Okay,
William Byron.
gross. AJ Allmendinger.
Is he running this week?
No, he's not. Why did I just say that? I literally said earlier that Josh Williams is running the 16. Holy shit. Damn it. Who was my second pick?
Thought you wrote this down.
You can take my second pick.
I
if you want
did.
it.
I wrote down AJ Allmendinger. Who's your second pick, Seth?
Austin Cindric.
It's a pretty good pick because where else are you going to pick Austin Cindric?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll go with Austin Cindric. That sounds good.
I just kind of figure William Byron winning back-to-back to start the season is the kind of like dystopian hellscape that I really don't want to live in, and it just sounds like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Before we go, we haven't worked out the schematics for this, but the Daytona 500, was it bitching?
yes.
What are we doing? I'm way out of the loop on this. Nobody informed
Was
me.
it bitching or was it not bitching, Chuck?
Essentially, was it a good race?
Yeah. Hate saying that, but yeah.
It was a fantastic race.
It was pretty
That
good.
literally was one of the best Daytona 500s I've ever watched in my life.
Best one since 2016, I think.
Yeah. All around, just compelling throughout. And yeah. With that, I think that's it. I think we're done.
No, we're definitely not.
No,
What?
we got to do sundress and dumbass, my guy.
All right. Damn straight. You're damn Skippy. All right.
All right,
ahead.
so I was struggling with sundress because like a whole bunch of nutsacks won races this weekend or this 8-day weekend, whatever the fuck it was. So I just went with Shane Van Gisbergen. Oh my god, I didn't mean it. Oh my god.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with.
We just lost half our viewer base because you decided to.
It's a good thing I already explained that.
Locally, you suck.
Again, you don't know what that word means.
I have no clue what that word means. Hope it's not a slur that you've been getting me to say this whole time.
Did you? Never mind. I'm not.
All right. So anyway, I'm gonna give it to the Wendy's pretzel baconator. No, I'm gonna give it to Shane Van Gisbergen. Damn it, dude. Damn it. Fuck. Now I got a new dumbass. Hang on. Let me change that real quick. All right, y'all go ahead so I can rip into this complete dumbass that I just thought of.
Go ahead. Who's your sundress, Chuck?
I won't make this like drawn out, but it's a little bit personal. But I'm gonna go Ross Chastain, and only because take a shot, whatever. Abby picked him as her driver, and it was really cool for me that he was up front and he raced like hell, like he always does. Because no offense to you, buddy, but you
had headphones on.
You feel this too. You guys had nothing to be excited for Kevin over the past year and a half.
I was pretty excited at the end of the Southern 500 when he was going to win the race until Tyler Reddick did the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life.
And every single race that she went to as a Kevin Harvick fan, they brought the classic Stuart Haas street stock, and he ran like dog shit. So she was really excited to finally have somebody up front to cheer for. She even looked at me with like 5 to go and was like, "I'm sorry I kept hitting you. I just never got to get this excited for Kevin before." So, yeah.
Well,
sundress Ross Chastain.
Since I allegedly hasn't been excited for Kevin Harvick in the past however long, whatever. I also was pretty fucking excited at the end of the Daytona 500. Seth gave me hope. He said, "I think Bowman got it." And I was like, "No, he didn't." And you're like, "I think he did."
I did for real think he had it.
You let me down. You let me down.
I would have called the caution a little bit later.
Wait, so that was your dumbass?
That was my sundress. It was Ross.
Oh, okay. I was confused. Okay.
Ross for being cool.
All right, my sundress is going to be Jordan Anderson, but mainly Larry McReynolds. They finished third in the Xfinity race. So
Larry Mack wasn't there.
Yeah.
what? I thought he was the crew chief.
He had
He
to go
was
home.
until he had to go back to Charlotte to call a race at Daytona.
I can't explain why that makes sense.
That's okay. All right, never mind. I rescind that. My sundress is going to be Shane Van Gisbergen.
Shane who?
Fuck you, Chuck.
Yeah. All right. Seth or Seth, who's your dumbass?
All right, so I got 2 dumbasses now. I'm gonna go with the entire truck and ARCA field, except Shane, obviously. But yeah, the entire truck and ARCA field can just like stop doing that. It'd be nice. And then also Seth Dolby on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. Just recently, like it just happened, called Shane Van Gisbergen a burger.
No, you didn't. You didn't call him a burger.
Well, he tried.
You
He
did
got
not
really
call him a burger.
confused. He got really confused and said, "Begging, bugging, whatever the fuck he said."
Cotton-headed Ning Muggins.
It was not Shane Van Gisbergen's proper legal full adult name. Yeah, he should be ashamed and probably replaced, to be completely honest. So yeah, that guy.
Okay, Chuck.
So I have to go to my Twitter bookmark so I can show you this as well. This might be the only time that big block modifieds are ever mentioned on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. But this was about the most drunk driving, dumb shit I've ever seen on a racetrack in my entire life. There was a man named Larry White leading the big block modified race at Volusia. And I feel like I should just show you this. And then I'll explain a little bit for the people that can't see it. Tell me if you can see this. And no, you can't see it. Okay, I'm just going to have to send it to you guys and tell you what this man did. This man was leading the race, okay? And he came up to lap a guy and drove it into the side of said guy over the cushion, almost flipped said guy into the catch fence, pulled it out of the cushion, back onto the racetrack, completely across the racetrack, slammed into the guy that was running second, got it back going straight while he wrecked that guy, and went off into turn 1, jumped the cushion, and barrel rolled his car 3 times.
Wow.
I don't know how in the fuck that is possible. If you guys would like to see for yourselves, it is in our group chat now.
Go ahead and send me that, and I can and if I remember, I'll overlay that so if the folks at home can see
Dude,
that sounds pretty. I'll tell you what.
I don't know. I don't know.
Sounds pretty dumb. Not quite as dumb as calling Shane Van Gisbergen whatever Seth called him, but that sounds pretty dumb.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, this is like a professional race car driver, and he's not legally allowed to be drunk right now, but it sure as hell looks like he is.
Yeah. Dumbass, honestly, dude, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the whole truck and ARCA field, definitely that's a great one. If I had to pinpoint one guy, it's gonna be Gus Dean, just for being an asshole. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody, as crazy as the weekend was, I didn't see too many guys do too much atrociously dumb shit. So yeah, we're gonna go with Gus Dean.
Yeah, wow, Chuck, that's as dumb as you made it sound. I thought he has to be exaggerating. No, literally that dumb.
Good to know. All right, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
That's something
I'm
else.
sorry, I can't stop laughing about it. It's so bad.
Yeah. Fuck Gus Dean.
Yeah.
He took out Shane intentionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he did.
Sorry.
Agreed. All right.
That's it.
That's been the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. He's been Buddy. I've been Fired. That's been Chuck. And we love all of yous. Well, except you. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
You might have a big forehead.
Oh, shit.
Chuck Forsum said that. Anyway.
I'm not calling any names.
Hey. And
You did.
forehead Chuck says go fuck yourself.